Hi guys, welcome back to Modcons. Thank you so much for tuning in. What a week we've got to talk about.
It's all happening.
It's always all
And it's
happening.
all about immigration.
Oh,
Grrr!
oh my God, there's so much to talk
So
about.
much.
Yeah, I mean, Starmer and his gang have, decided
Yeah.
to actually start tackling the problem that a lot of the public want to know what they're going to do about it because they haven't done anything yet.
No.
But now there's a
He,
lot of talk.
there's a lot of talk. He's no longer smashing the gangs.
He's decided not to smash the
He's going to
gangs.
take back control. How
Yes.
original. Where he got that idea?
I don't know. I heard it a few years ago.
Me too. He didn't like it when we said it then. It's quite
No.
interesting how time moves on.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
Mm.
But yeah, okay, let's get into
Let's
it
get into it.
because you know what? Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I
Okay.
guess, he's heard the people, maybe because of the local elections.
No, I wonder. Do you think that had anything to do with it? The fact that he was pummeled by reform?
Maybe. He
Maybe.
will say that it has been in the, it has been cooking in the oven for like months and months.
Months and months.
But I think, actually that was like the final, oh God,
Yeah.
let's do something
Wake up
because
call.
yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So he wants to
He doesn't want anyone, really.
he doesn't want
He's
anyone.
like, you can all leave.
He wants you to at least have degree level. You must speak better
Yes,
English.
I've got to speak A-level English.
Yes.
And he said also dependence, which I thought was
Yes.
interesting. So if I'm like a 3-year-old child,
Yeah.
if I'm not fluent, I better
Get out of here.
get out of here.
Get out. Come back when you're ready.
Come back when you've got your A-levels.
Trying to sort of home in on growing our homegrown talent.
Yes, which is good.
It is a good
Which
thing.
is good.
I'm into that.
I'm into that.
What else have we got? There's loads. There's loads.
He's got loads. Fewer visas. The big one was that he's not going to have any foreign care workers.
Yes.
Which is an industry basically kept afloat by foreign care workers.
I mean, I get the point.
Yeah.
You should be we have plenty of people in this country
Absolutely.
that do not work and that really should kind of get involved. I mean, a care worker is not the job for just
It's
anyone.
a tough job.
It is a tough job,
Yeah.
and you've got to be passionate about it, I
Yeah.
think. Well, you should be.
Yeah.
So that's a bit tricky. I do think we should grow homegrown talent and encourage people to do these
Absolutely.
caring jobs.
Absolutely.
But to just sort of across the board,
Yeah.
sweep them out.
And also with the care workers, they said like
Yeah.
you're going to have to pay people a lot more.
Yeah.
Who's going to do that? Because these private care homeowners are already being kind of pummeled by national insurance increases and all of these new minimum wage rises and things like that.
Yes.
So where else are they going to get that? There's only so much money that they have.
Exactly.
And I don't feel like he's thought it through. It doesn't feel very organic or serious.
Same old chestnut, perhaps.
Yeah, it's just like
the devil's in the detail.
It is.
And that is lacking. But I don't know. Let's see what happens, I guess. But but it is a bit crazy. But there's so many, like there was rows and rows
lots
of
of
like
stuff. He did have a speech saying, hey, I'm gonna take back control.
Yeah.
And he said, if we don't do this, we risk becoming an island of strangers. And that really got a lot of pushback, especially from his own those on his own benches, because they thought he sounded like Enoch Powell because he said that, we'll become strangers in our own land.
Yes.
They're basically the same thing. And he's trying to pretend now that, I sound nothing like him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe he didn't feel that he sounded anything like he said he sounds like. But you might think that.
Exactly.
Perhaps.
Misinterpretation.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And, just, I don't know. Yeah. Different times. But
It's true.
I think the sentiment was probably the same. Right?
Yeah.
So there was that. And then he said, he used a lot of Tory language saying he's going to take back control. And he blamed a lot of it on the Conservatives, obviously.
Yes.
He was like, oh, it's all the 14 years, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the funny thing he did do is he kept talking about, he was like, okay, so some of you politicos are going to pretend that I've just plucked this up because of a particular party chomping at my heels.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look back at a speech I did 3 years ago, I mentioned this. And it's like, so you're basically proving that you haven't spoken about this for 3 years. And this was not on your agenda at all. And 10 months in, you've just decided, I'm really passionate about this. And he said the Labour Party has always been, I can't remember, he said the Labour Party has always been a party of strong borders or something. Like the most, it was like gaslighting at its finest.
Yeah.
Said he say the Labour Party's core values were for immigration to be controlled. I don't know if anyone could ever say that to be true.
I would say, if they did a quiz and they were like, is that something they said? They'd be like, no way. No way. It was the other answer.
Yeah. It's just like, really?
So crazy.
It's a lot of like he's got a lot of gall to just stand up there and say all of this with a straight face.
Do you believe he believes it?
No. It's all political, and he tries to say, "Oh, everyone's trying to politicize this." He is the most political person of us all, and he politicizes everything.
He does indeed.
And I mean, the fact that he said that before he then said "take back control" is just laughable.
It is. But whilst we're on immigration, might as well carry on.
Yeah.
But he's also now looking at alternative routes to the Rwanda thing. So whether you believed or liked or didn't like the idea of Rwanda, the UK put a fortune once again. My goodness, we've got some serious amount of money that just seems to go to all these other countries, and we get nothing for it.
Did a really, really well.
Great deal.
They built houses.
They're like
new hotels.
They're like, thanks guys. Thanks for looking after us. Did they name the streets after like some
Suella?
Yeah,
Suella Lane.
Suella Lane. And Boris
Avenue.
But so apparently America or something are looking at using that
people
now.
are just going to use the houses that we paid to build. It's
crazy,
outrageous,
crazy. And but what makes it even worse is Starmer is looking at more expensive alternatives, such as in Albania. What is going on? Please use some common sense, because this is our money. This is the British taxpayers' money just being squandered and used like willy-nilly.
It's crazy because we already have a return scheme with Albania, right? Which under the Conservatives, I think we got 90% of people returned to Albania. So it's successful. I don't know what he's trying to achieve here. He just is basically trying to do Rwanda light. But he doesn't want to do it there because he's already poo-pooed it and said it's terrible. And so he has to find somewhere else to do it.
Exactly, because it would show him U-turning once again. Which
so they're going to be called return hubs. And the thing about these is that they're only for people who've exhausted their asylum application. So it's not really a deterrent because you still get the opportunity to come here, stay here in a hotel, keep trying. And then after your 10th try, and they finally say, look, you really have to go. It's been 10 years.
We've had enough.
We're not going to allow you in. Then you go to Albania.
Isn't
that the most
it's so weird
scheme?
So weird.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense. But also on his bill, if you are petty criminal, if you do some petty crimes, maybe something that warrants a sentence of under 12 months, then they are going to say, no, you're naughty, you should leave. And also something to do with the ECHR, they are going to make it more restrictive. So although we'll still be part of the ECHR, apparently, if you do sort of break the rules or you do not do the way it's supposed to be, unless it's like a real, core values of what the ECHR stand for, then you will be able to be removed. So maybe those 10 appeals might not happen.
You might get like 8. I got you.
A win.
I think it's going to be Article 8, which is used a lot for right to family life.
Exactly.
And people use that to say, if I go back to my original country, I'm gay, and that they'll pummel me to death.
Exactly.
Or someone once got to stay in the UK because their child would have to eat food,
chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets or something
that they didn't like.
They
only like British chicken.
I don't know, but things like that, which are obviously ludicrous.
But I think that's kind of what they're trying to stop, to cap,
which is good.
Makes sense.
But some people have said, look, the ECHR still has lots of other clauses that people could just, if they can't use clause 8, Article 8, they'll just find another article.
Exactly. So again, detail is lacking. However, let's start somewhere. At least they're starting somewhere.
True. Well, they're trying.
They're trying. Trying my patience.
It was quite funny. Like, we go into PMQs, and we had twice Keir Starmer spoke to Nigel Farage. So he spoke to him once when he answered a question, but he was answering a question, I think, from Kemi or someone on the Conservative benches, and then he just like randomly turns to Nigel Farage and was like, you didn't do that. It's like, what? Where did this come from? It's obviously he's trying to like dig him out and show that he's like much more politically savvy or whatever, but it just gives him more. Like, Nigel Farage was beaming with joy. He's like, I'm getting called out, this is amazing, they all love me, they all hate me. He just loves the attention. So I'm like, why would you feed his ego?
Because he's rattled, because he's under his
so
skin.
Rattled he is,
and that's the beauty of it. I mean, it is quite good to have sort of people around that have that effect, because you need to have you need to be accountable. Starmer needs to have like people kind of, you're not, this is not a cushy, you didn't win because you're amazing. You won because everything else was just failing a little bit.
People were so angry with us, like you won by default, really.
Exactly. So it's good. Although I did see it on social media, obviously it's not fact checked, but I've seen it on a couple of things where Nigel Farage a little while ago was saying how impossible it is for immigration to actually be rectified and sorted, and it won't be possible. And I'm like, well, that's your whole agenda. So if you're saying that, and that's your core belief and your core goal, what the hell are you going to do? Like, at least come out with a, so at the moment it can't do this, but if we do this, this and this, then we can do that. Otherwise, what are you doing?
He just goes, it's not possible. This is not going to happen. It's politically impossible.
That's really good.
Wild. Which is why Rupert Lowe often calls him out on this and says this guy doesn't want mass deportations. He doesn't believe in any of this. He said he's going to get like a deportations minister. He's like, he doesn't believe in it. So it's irrelevant if he makes someone a minister for deportations. If he's not going to do those deportations, then what difference?
I mean, he'd have to, though, wouldn't he? Because that would be his whole, that's his whole like thing, his whole agenda.
Well, their new agenda now is net zero. So no, as many people in, as many people out. Not one more person on the books. But that's also not really realistic, is it?
No.
But that's one thing actually that was in his in Starmer's immigration speech, is he refused, and their whole immigration plan is they've refused to put a cap on numbers. And the Conservatives have said, look, we will come to you with a number and it will be a firm number. And Chris Hope got up in his speech and was like, you know, the Conservatives, like them or hate them or love them, at least had kind of the balls to give a number, even if they didn't make it. They at least had, they were going to hold themselves accountable for something. He's just saying, we'll get it down. It's so vague. It's so vague. It could be by one and he'll pat himself on the back. It just doesn't.
Yeah, but that's the point. And because Conservatives actually failed with every number they gave. He doesn't want to do it because he's falling into the trap. However, he needs to, because otherwise you're not actually doing your homework. You're not doing the detail, and you're just talking rubbish.
It's just air. Which he can't love. That's a story for another day.
It's weak.
He's a very weak leader. And I think today 100 of his MPs have just written a letter to their chief whip saying that they're not going to vote. It's for the DW, for the benefits changes that they want to bring in. They've said that they're not going to vote. So those 100 MPs would actually make him lose the vote, which would be the first time ever he's had a proper rebellion. So they're all starting to get a bit rattled by these local election results. And the fact that, as they should. And the fact that, you know, he's saying things that aren't Labour, that aren't left wing, saying take back control, saying Islanders Stranger, saying things like that. They are traditionally of the right. And when you do that and you try and play to the crowd, you do risk losing your actual core group. It's a very risky model trying to chase this reform vote. When all of your lefty lovies are crying into their pillow that you're you want to send their friend home.
Exactly. It's so true. It's crazy, but that's the problem. If you don't stand for anything, you fall for everything. And that's what he's doing. And I think it's going to show. It's at the moment he's kind of getting away with it because it's still kind of early in his tenure. But I think, you know, as time goes on, we're going to see that things are failing, or he'll keep changing sort of things, or rehashing rehashing old things that, I don't know, Conservatives were looking at. For example, all the things that the Conservatives were looking at, he's actually implemented. And some of those things, they were looking at them with a, should we do something? And he's like, oh, they must have thought we must do something. And that is just crazy. And he's giving away everything. He's giving away land, he's giving away money, he's giving away everything. And it's really disturbing.
It is disturbing. It's a free-for-all.
And green belt, I'm going,
that's what Labour do. They do give away everything.
They do, but it's just not great. Anyway,
so talking of Labour rights, one of my favourite Labour rights, David Lammy.
Where's David
Lammy? So Starmer's been doing all of these deals all over the world,
but he hasn't been around the UK very often.
No, he's never home. Not at home.
No.
Unless he's got a photo op that he has to do, and then he'll leave.
Or a PMQ.
Yeah, literally to come and like go at somebody. But so David Lammy, so you'd think foreign minister, foreign secretary, you would be the one signing the papers with Donald Trump.
He should be right there.
Right there, front and center at the Indian trade deal, at the American trade deal.
Yeah.
All of that, you'd think that he would be, and he has not been visible. And I don't know if that's because like he rubs Trump up the wrong way, or he's just not very good at his job. But it's weird that the foreign secretary is not around for any of this. It's just Keir Starmer. Maybe Keir Starmer's just obsessed with getting on a plane and he wants all the glory.
Exactly, and he wants all the photo ops.
Yeah, and he wants all the photo ops.
And that might be
maybe that's it.
It must be.
But it's weird.
Yeah.
Because James Cleverly, when he was foreign sec, he loved getting on a plane. He was always on a plane. But that was okay because that was his job, right?
Right.
Whereas our PM was actually at home trying to figure out how to like fix the country.
Yeah.
Whereas it's completely the other way for us.
So weird. So maybe Lammy's trying to
Lammy's
stay
not
at home.
The funniest thing I saw in my feed today, an article that David Lammy was in the French Alps. So
doing a deal?
Not doing a deal, skiing with his wife.
Yeah.
But also he got into like a bit of a kerfuffle with a taxi driver. So he went on a work trip with the king and queen. To Italy, as you do.
Yeah.
And after that work trip, he thought, screw it, I'm not going to Tottenham. I'm going to go to the Alps. So he went,
why not?
Why not skiing? I mean, it's not parliamentary recess or anything. I mean, where's he going? Anyway, so he goes off to ski, as you do. And this guy drives him from Italy to France.
Wow, okay.
Long journey.
Quite a long journey.
But apparently it was all prepaid.
Yeah.
And then when he gets to the destination, the guy asks him for another 900 euros or something like this. And David Lammy's like, I'm not paying, like obviously the London boy comes out, he's like, I'm not paying you extra 900 euros fee. What do you think this is?
What do you think this is?
And apparently this guy like opens his glove box, shows a knife.
What?
And's like, you better pay me. And I don't know what happens. They all like get out.
Wow.
And drove off with all their stuff.
Oh my God. I mean, if that's how he negotiates with a taxi, this is why Starmer hasn't let him negotiate with the world country leaders. This is why, because he can't even get a taxi journey without getting knife threats.
What the hell?
And extra money. Well, you know.
It's a really incredible story. It's in the Telegraph. Everyone should read it. It's really funny. It's wild. And then the taxi driver's like, oh, he had a knife and he was trying to... What? Somebody definitely had a knife then, because anyway, so the taxi driver's being arrested for theft, and he said he's going to sue David Lammy and for defamation of character.
Wow,
great story.
That is a good story. But that I think just absolutely reinforces why Starmer maybe says, okay,
you stay home,
you go skiing, try and stay out of trouble. He's like, oops, sorry. Oh my God. Well, did he enjoy his ski trip at least?
I don't think he did, actually.
Sad
after
times.
all that.
Sad times.
Yeah. It's tough being foreign secretary.
It is. Especially if you don't know how to handle people in foreign countries. Like, what is going on?
That's it. They can't take him anywhere. Bloody hell, Larry.
Yeah.
So anyway, that answers the question of where he is.
Yeah, and that answers the question of why he's not.
Sorted. Okay, we solved that.
Oh, genius
stuff. We love it.
My goodness.
So lots of other people are on journeys at the moment.
Yeah.
Doing the rounds. We've got Trump.
Yes.
Out in the Middle East doing his thing.
My goodness. Wow. Can we just say, like, Saudis really know how to put a building together.
They do.
Do you see those chandeliers? The gold
bling.
It is super blinged out. But everyone was there. It was like a who's of billionaires and influential people.
Indeed. Even Piers Morgan was there.
Even Piers, he gets everywhere. So he's signing deals left, right, and centre with the world.
Trillions, apparently. Yeah. $1 trillion worth of deals were signed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pretty good.
I reckon if you are like in the markets, you will be watching these deals with hawk eyes. Yeah. Because I think, people are going to make bucks. Mega bucks.
Big bucks. But it's good, I think it shows, I think the Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the Middle East, everyone knows for a while that's where a lot of the money is.
Yes.
But they haven't really been kind of in the mix. They've kind of been in the fringes, kind of working with other countries. So working with like Middle East and North Africa, and working with like a bit of China here, a bit of here, like other countries. But it's quite interesting seeing them and like the USA come together.
It's true. And why not? I mean, they're very influential. We have a lot of like expats that go over there because they, to start businesses, to grow their businesses, and just to kind of
opportunity there,
live
really,
tax-free. So yeah, why not? Absolutely.
Why not?
Although there's a whole like human rights and all that stuff. I don't know. The undercurrent.
There's a lot of other things that people aren't best pleased with about Saudi, the Middle East.
Yeah.
Well, Saudi more so than other countries in the Middle East.
Because they're on the top of it, they look amazing and great, but some of the things that just sort of go under the undercurrent kind of are a bit extreme and not really to the West's taste.
Yes,
let's put it that way. I don't know if that's a diplomatic way to put it.
I think that's fairly diplomatic. To our taste.
To our taste. So if you do go and live there, I think most sort of people that go to live in countries
they go knowing what the country is like,
and they're happy to live by
their rules. But funnily enough, you just reminded me, there was this little kid who is from Tottenham. And
what's with Tottenham?
I know, it's just coming together. 360 moments. Who was getting with a girl. They were both teenagers. It was consensual. But she was not the right age. They were not the right age, and it didn't go down very well.
No.
They were like holiday makers. The kid got arrested, and David Lammy, who's the MP for Tottenham and foreign secretary, all of his constituents, or some of his constituents, were asking for him to like say something,
step in,
do something. And when he was in opposition and it was the Conservatives, he would have been on LBC banging on about it, like, oh, you Tories, you're so evil, free the boy, blah blah blah. Now he's foreign secretary and he's like schmoozy. He was just like, do you play by the rules? He basically was just like, let him stay in prison. He's got to learn how to behave. And it was like quite hardcore, but
it's a bit hardcore. But I do think
it's fair, but hardcore considering what he would have done 2 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
It's not really
But that seems to be a running trend as well. They change their persona, or they change to fit in with the moment, which is not really always the best way. But also, naughty boy, don't do things when you're not ready to.
Already. I don't think they realise, which is sad and silly, and it's one of those things I'm sure he'll probably kick himself about. Forever.
I mean, I would not want to be in any prison, but especially like an Arab prison, because I don't assume it's
I don't think they're going to be
Nintendos and
PMQs this week. Let's go back to it.
So
I mean, I think might have had her best one yet. He was just
one yet,
because it wasn't that like showy, but it was just like everything was just nailed it.
I do think Kemi very rarely says anything wrong. This is I've said that from the beginning. It's but I think her delivery is becoming more forceful, which is what I want to see more.
It's become very strong this week.
But she everything she says makes sense. Like, and it's valid.
It's right.
So
she was basically talking about the fact that jobs at lots of businesses are closing, and closing down, and lots of people are cutting jobs, like Sainsbury's. Who else? Loads. Morrison, Sky, literally all over every industry. They're just chopping them because
of the new stuff that's come in. National insurance,
minimum wage,
exactly,
business rates, like for instance, property relief, all of it. Just too much. So she was making a good point on that. And that unemployment had gone up, which was a really good point. It's now 4.5%. I think 4.6% is the highest it was under us, and that was COVID. But COVID's long gone,
and we should be thriving. The point is, now we're out of that sticky situation. We've moved on. We're meant to be thriving and growing businesses, growing our country, GDP and all that. But it's just not.
And under Rishi, it was I think 4%, and so under Rachel Reeves, for it to be 4.5% is just embarrassing.
It's meant to go the other way.
It's meant to go the other way.
Maybe she doesn't know that.
Maybe she doesn't know. She's trying to get it up.
Gosh,
makes sense. It all becomes clear. It's like, I'm doing everything right. It's going up, guys.
Not always going up is what we want. Not always. Sometimes. Not always.
But Kemi was good. Obviously, I don't know if we've spoken about it already, but Keir Starmer had a bit of an exchange with Liz Savile Roberts, who delivered a real zinger to him when she was like, "Is there anything any idea that survives more than 10 minutes in your brain?"
Ouch.
Ouch, something along those lines. And he goes, "Yeah, the fact that you talk rubbish." And everyone was like, ugh. And then Rachel Reeves was like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah,
like it was the funniest thing that anyone's ever said.
But it's just weak. It's just a weak response. It's like, lame. Actually, why don't you take heed of what she said, because it's true.
Yeah,
she's not just standing up saying it for fun.
No,
it's like, take a look at your past track record for the last 3-4 months, even.
Yeah,
you don't even need to go all the way back to the start of your prime ministership.
About the last year.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so bad.
Yeah. So yeah, but he just does that when he doesn't know what to say. He's like, rubbish.
He just tries to knock them out. He thinks he's really funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not really a serious response. And I don't know, I don't remember any other kind of prime minister having responses like that.
No. I want witty.
Yeah.
I don't mind the whole sort of back and forth.
Yeah.
I like it. It makes it entertaining and good for the public, because
it gets them engaged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it has to be witty, and
has to be something
smooth
of substance. Yeah, it's just weird. Or then when he goes, like when someone says something and he just stands up and goes, "No," and then sits down, it's like,
yeah,
it's just so embarrassing.
He just looks like a brat.
He is. That's exactly it. It's very bratty.
Yeah,
it's just like throwing my toys at
way.
The
not in a cool bratty way, in just a brat way. But yeah. I don't know, but anyway,
it's true. It's really embarrassing.
But I do like it when they call him out, because you need that.
Yeah, like Angela Rayner was not impressed.
No,
she was just sitting there like, when he talked to
Liz, it's like she zones out though. I sometimes watch
does
when they're sitting next to whilst he's talking and stuff. They do the nodding dog, and then they just like zone out.
Yeah,
and I'm like, she's
just thinking about when she's going to be saying
it's like, I wouldn't say that.
But the interesting thing to see in Q's at the moment is like, when you look at the whole of the Labour benches, this time 4 months ago, 3 months ago, they'd all be really raucous and really backing everything. It's pretty quiet back there nowadays. It's like they're not impressed.
They're not impressed.
They're not amused.
They shouldn't be. It's not a laughing matter. It's serious. This is a country in turmoil.
So that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah.
Trump's doing his thing. He's bringing Rubio along now, which I quite like. I quite like Rubio. He gets him into less trouble than old JD Vance.
I know. It was like, sit this one out. We need the deals to go through, and you questioning people's clothing is not going to work. Especially
telling them to say thank you. So old JD's been swapped out.
Yeah.
I think his last foreign visit was to see the Pope.
Yeah.
Poor Popey.
Yeah.
But no. So I think Rubio's in. Vance is out. Elon was there as well, which is quite cute.
He was.
He's getting in the mix. I think he probably wanted to cash in on some of those deals.
100%. He's like making notes. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I guess that's it.
That's it, guys. It's been beautiful.
It has. It's been emotional.
I
mean, I guess next week's going to be another insight into something cool.
Yes, we're going to be talking to someone potentially interesting.
We are. Hopefully, if all goes well.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Indeed.
But yeah, don't worry. We will keep you updated with all the interesting things that's going on in the news, all the current affairs. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget, Monday middays, mod cons. See you soon.
Bye guys.